Hi guys, welcome to a new video. My name is Robin Shindelka and I'm a life coach specialized in helping people recover from stress, anxiety, depersonalization, derealization, and many other things. And today I want to talk about something that actually has come up a lot in my sessions, just in general, with people struggling with DPDR or struggling with anxiety or existential anxiety. And I never really made a video about this, so I wanted to do that now. And the topic of today is going to be how to deal with this idea of grieving your past self or grieving the person you were before you got into this crisis, the person who was free, the person who was unaware, the person who was just living life without overthinking, without being so hyper aware of existence or anxiety or any of that. I think a lot of people that I work with or talk to struggle with this topic because you only have your past self to compare yourself to. You don't know yet who you're going to be in the future, so you can't really compare your current state or your past state to that future person. And so, if you compare where you are now to how you used to be, then of course you want to go back there. Of course, you want to be your old self again. Of course, you want to live the way you used to live because there was less pain and less suffering in that time of your life. But I think that the number one thing I could already start by telling you is that this is a process of transformation. Sometimes that's a lengthy process and it feels like it's not a process at all. It feels like it's the end of it. But trust me when I say that it is a process, because if you truly were your best self, if you truly were like your most at peace, safe feeling version of yourself before this all started, you probably would not have gone through this at all. And so I want to give you guys some pointers or some ways to deal with this grief of your old self. And to also know, first of all, that it's normal, that it is okay, but that it's not because you miss or grieve your old self that you're not going to be that person again, or that you're not going to be an even better version of that person. So, my first tip for you would be allow the grief, allow yourself to miss your old self, but do not allow the story around what that grief means. I think it's okay to allow yourself to grieve the fact that you're missing parts of you, like the fun parts, the spontaneous parts, the free thinking parts, the parts of you that felt safe. It's okay to miss those, but drop the story, please, around I'm never gonna be that person again, or I'm always gonna be stuck in this version of me. Because what that type of story around the grief does is it makes you actually resist your current circumstance even more. It makes you stay stuck in stress and resentment and a victim mindset, and that really does prevent you from going forward. So allow yourself to grieve, but just see the grief as missing an old friend and not staying in that story of I'm never going to have that friend again. I'm never going to see that friend again, because the friend hasn't died. It's just temporarily not with you because you have to process some things and go through this process of change. Um, which kind of point me to the second tip, which is to really also see this process as a process of change. And a metaphor that I've used before for this is the process of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. When a caterpillar goes into a dark cocoon to undergo this transformation, it's stuck, it's uncomfortable, it's messy, it feels claustrophobic. But after that process, that when the caterpillar has fully undergone this transformation, then it becomes a free and beautiful butterfly, and it becomes even freer than it ever was as a caterpillar. And because the future is unknown, we tend to project the worst case scenario onto it, especially when we're living in fear. And we like certainty so much that we would rather have this image of the future that we can prepare for. The image being you always being stuck like this, the image being you always suffering, rather than actually allowing yourself to open up and see that the future might be more beautiful than you could have ever imagined if you truly just undergo this process and embrace the unknown about the future. We fear change, we fear the unfamiliar, but the unfamiliar or the unknown is not always bad. Sometimes the unknown is good. The only thing you know right now is where you are and where you used to be. And so your anxious mind wants to attach to either one of them, but stops you from opening up to the picture that your future might be even better. And what I was saying before, if you truly were already a healed and whole version of yourself, you very unlikely would have gone through this process in the first place. So my third tip for you is try and ask yourself, if I was the universe, like if I was God and I could see myself the way I was living before, what might be the reason that I would give myself this exact um, chaos in order to learn a lesson about how to become even happier in the future? And so when I was in my DPDR, my personal example of that is I would grieve my old self so much because I was unaware, because I was just living life, because I was just, unaware of existence and death and all that came with it. But if I truly look back to it, I would have such issues with control around other things in my life, things that I actually could control. So that was the tough part, because I never really had to deal with my control issues because there was always a way for me to control it. But when it came to my DPDR and it came to existential thinking, I could not control it. So that was the first time where I really, really had to look within and say, my only protective mechanism is this part of me that wants control so bad, and it's been keeping me alive. It's been wanting to keep me going my entire life, and there's just no way of me completely depending on that controlling part the rest of my life. And so my process for me became a process of learning to be okay with letting go of control. And once I got through it, once I came out at the other end, I'm a much more at peace version of myself, a much happier person, a much more like, sometimes my controlling part still comes up, of course, but now I'm aware of how to let go of it and how to feel comfortable letting go of control. And if I'd never gone through this, I would have never needed to learn. I would have never needed to go on this journey and feel even happier. And so what I can say is that I am the same person as I used to be before my DPDR, in that my values are still the same, in that my personality to a big extent is still the same, but the parts of me that were not in my highest good, they died. And that's okay too. And maybe I grieved those parts a little bit. Maybe I grieved the obsessive control, even though it still does come up in some areas, even now. But and that brings me to point number 4, which was the parts of you that serve you will stay. The parts of you that serve you and your highest good will stay. And the parts of you that don't serve you and your highest good will have to go. So the question you can ask yourself is, what are those parts of me? What are the parts of me that are not in my highest good, not in the highest good of all? That is what I have to shed in this process, what I have to learn to overcome to be a better and more at peace version of myself. And the last piece of advice I have for you is to understand that looking back is pointless. And part of this whole journey is also learning to get control over your mind, get control over your thinking, use your mind for good and not for pain and suffering. And with this idea of looking back is pointless, it truly is, because it's okay to miss your old self, but to dwell on who you were versus who you are now is not going to make you move forward. It's just going to keep you stuck in the past. And if you truly want to become your best self again, if you want to really truly heal and feel better, all you can do is look forward and ask yourself, who is the person that I want to become? Who's the person that I need to become in this process in order to get better? And then just focusing on moving forward, focusing on the only way I can look is forward. Even though it's taken a long time, even though you might feel like this process has been pointless in some way, even if that's how you feel, it's literally pointless to look back. You're going to waste time, you're going to go into a victim mindset, and that's not going to actually help you move forward. So I'm not saying resist the grief. I'm saying allow the grief, but let it out and then move forward again and again. Keep on looking forward to the future. And if you think about how this whole process is, like going from that caterpillar into the butterfly, the caterpillar is the version of you that is unaware and untraumatized, just carelessly living your life. The version you are now is in the cocoon, and that stage is being aware and not at peace. So being aware of danger, being aware of life, being aware of your own consciousness, being aware of whatever it was that caused trauma in you, and not being at peace with it. The third stage, which is where you have to go, is not to become unaware again, because you can't do that. The third stage is being aware of what's happened, being aware of life, being aware of existence, and choosing to be at peace with it, which is why acceptance is so much something I focus on so much in my sessions, in my course, in my videos. It's truly the key. Moving forward, accepting what's happened to you, accepting it's not ideal, but the only way is forward. And the goal is not to be your past self. The goal is to truly integrate and embrace what's happened to you and be at peace with it. And that will make you feel normal again. I can promise you that. If I truly look back to my idea of normality, I feel as normal as I used to feel, but I'm not the same person. I've changed, I've grown, I've transformed, I've tackled my demons, or I'm still tackling them, but at least I'm at peace with them. But my feeling of normality, of being who I am and being connected to myself and the world around me, has completely returned based on these 5 tips that I've just given you. So I hope that this has helped you. I said in my last video I was going to do a recovery story today, but unfortunately we had to reschedule for next week. So next week, fingers crossed, I will be giving you another recovery story. And yeah, if you guys have any topics that you'd like me to address, feel free to leave a comment below. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.